So yesterday I promised a video that because we think we found a scam, and it looks like it's one of these sharp practices things, the sort of thing that Matt Allwright used to do on the old Watchdog on the telly. And what happened? Her indoors was out yesterday, and down at Wicky Hole in Somerset. On the way back, she pulled into a petrol station to get some petrol, but the pump wouldn't work. So eventually, geezer came out, manager, and he said to her, no, your car's been marked as a drive off, right? When he's, petrol thieves. Now, my missus don't pay for her own petrol anyway, right? So she got no reason to drive away because she don't pay for her own petrol anyway. I pay for it all. Muggins, right? So her petrol's free as far as she's concerned. She don't need to do a drive off and get nicked or even like that. So she obviously said to him, oh, look, this is ridiculous because there's no way. I mean, my husband pays me fuel, so get stuffed. And so he said, oh, look, the car's been flagged up by these people, and that they employ to keep an eye on it, they AMPR all the numbers, and the car's been flagged, right? Now it's a brand new Porsche, right? So obviously a bit stupid. Someone ain't gonna not pay for their fuel. So anyway, she said, well, look, I need petrol. So he let her fill up. So she filled up, paid for the fuel, didn't drive off. That would have been funny, wouldn't it? Didn't drive off. She phones me on the way back in a panic now because she thinks the old bill are going to pull her over, they're going to nick her, and all the rest of it for what they call bilking these days. Now, first thing that goes through my mind, there's a scam going on here. This is so weird. And they've given her a little card, right? And I'm going to show the card because it's nothing, right? This is the card they give you, right? Doesn't give you any information. All there is a website saying you can pay us, but there's no reference number on it, right? So anyway, she's on her way back. I phoned a couple of coppers I know. They're both convinced that's a scam, Steve. They've cloned your plate or something. Or they've spotted your plate on the road. They've done this. They're trying to get her to pay. Did she pay for the fuel? Of course, I didn't know at the time. I said, well, I don't know if she paid for whatever fuel they reckon she nicked. She's been in a petrol station. I just assumed she paid for the fuel she's had. As it turned out, when she got back, yes, all she paid is what she owed for what she put in yesterday. So anyway, so they said, look, not a lot we can do without you reporting it, so report it. So I phoned up, obviously reported it to Avon Somerset Police. That's got a crime number now. And I expressed it. It's either cloned plates, so someone has done it, but they've cloned the plate on that car in particular. But they'd have to have another Porsche, which they're not as common as maybe like a Mondeo would be, or it doesn't seem, if I was going to get a car and clone it, I wouldn't pick something that's reasonably rare-ish. I'd pick something that was, everybody's got like a little Peugeot or a little Corsa or something like that. I mean, that's what you do in it, an Astra, the most popular cars in Britain. So I thought that was a bit weird. Or I thought maybe it was the old car, because that's a reasonably new car, so where the old car went, and obviously the plate is personalised. So we put the personalised plate from one car to the new car. So it could even work out to be that it was the previous car, and the person who bought that previous car hasn't put the proper number plates on it. They've left these number plates on it, and they're getting away with murder because obviously, who knows? Plus the fact my brother-in-law just got a speeding fine come through, but that was, again, a cloned plate. Someone had cloned his BMW. But that said, his BMW is a bit more common looking car. There's a lot more of these 1 Series about, therefore, you can see why they would clone one of those. There's lots. So anyway, so I'm thinking, it's either a clone plate or it's a scam, because like I say, she got no reason not to pay. It's not like she pays for her own fuel. She just has my card and pays for it. So I looked on the card she's got, see the transactions. There's loads of petrol transactions on there. So there's no reason to think that there's one missing, because every couple of days she goes and gets 30 quid. So yeah, weird. So when she comes back, she shows me this little card. Obviously that's a load of crap on it. I mean, little poxy little card like that, no reference, no nothing like that. And all the bloke had been able to say is, oh well, the AMPR company, they're called VARSAMPR.co.uk. They monitor the forecourts and they flag cars I said, well, not be fair, I don't like the idea that someone's flagging your car. And the police did a check. The car's not flagged with the police, so it's not. This hadn't been reported as stolen or anything like that. You know, there's nothing markers to the car, which you would imagine if you'd stolen fuel, they would report it as a crime, wouldn't they? They'd have to. Police don't know nothing about it, never heard of nothing, so the police are flummoxed. So I've done a little bit of digging on this firm, and if you go into Google, just about every single review, bar one done by somebody who works for them, who admits, I work for them, and you know, I agree with them doing this. Well, why would you do that? It means nothing as a review, because if you go to a review, you want to know what the company is like. You don't want to hear from somebody who works for them saying they're brilliant. I mean, that's, of course you're going to say that, because we'd get sacked, wouldn't you? So anyway, but every review, 79 reviews, 78 of them is basically all 1-star reviews saying, I wish I could give a negative, I can't, but here you go, is 1 star, they're shit, they've ripped me off, they've accused me of this, they've accused me of that. And all these bills are for 150, 160 quid, because it's a fine for not paying on top of the cost of whatever they supposedly got away with. And it's always 20, 30 quid worth of fuel. Or there was a few there where supposedly these people have been into the petrol station, they paid for the Mars bar they bought, but not the fuel. How would that work? How would you get away with that then? I mean, that's just ridiculous. Why would you know, the cashier, if at all, the cashier's at fault for not putting the fuel on the bill. You know, there's even a few that actually said, no, I agree, I didn't pay for the fuel, but that was because of some reason. I told the petrol station at the time, they said, don't worry about it, come back and pay it. And we did. And then they said, well, we can't accept it because it's now been flagged up as being a not pay, and you've got to pay an admin fee to pay your fee. And so they're getting charged 80, 90 quid, despite the fact they went back to pay the 20, 30 quid they owed at the time. Because it has to go through these people, and they get debt collectors and all sorts of stuff. So what I'm saying here is that you need to watch out, because it's very easy for these people to just put a flag on your number on your car. It's not reported to the police, and apparently, looking at the patterns that come through on the reviews, it appears that what they do, they're aware that CCTV gets overwritten. You know, you don't have a never-ending hard drive. These places where they set their cameras up, they have a date. It looks like it's 28-day cycle, where once it's been 28 days, it then overwrites itself. So someone who's on camera on the 1st of September comes to the 28th of September, and then they're overwritten by everybody from the 29th onwards. And what it seems, and I can't say this for definite till I've investigated a bit more, but it seems like they wait till the 28 days is up virtually, then they write to these people and say, you ain't paid. The people automatically, if they got any common sense, are saying, well, show me the evidence then, because I don't agree with you. I pay for my petrol every time. I've never driven away. And they say, well, we got no evidence anymore because we've overwritten that bit of tape now. We didn't keep it. Now, the people I've spoken to so far, solicitors-wise, are all of the opinion, well, if they've got no evidence of the crime, there wasn't a crime. You know, there is no robbery if you can't prove it. You know, you've got to provide the evidence. If you're saying that this car with this registration number and this person driving it drove away stealing fuel, which is effectively what they're saying, then that, if you're going to go to court to claim the payment for that fuel plus charges for managing it or whatever, administering it, you've got to be able to show that actually that event did happen and who perpetrated it, that it was that car on that day driven by that person. You can't just accuse them outright and say, you owe us money, pay it or else. Otherwise, I could just walk up to someone in the street tomorrow and say, 3 weeks ago, I gave you £2,000 to hold on to for me. You haven't given it back. I want it back. And they say, well, no, you never did it. I say, well, yeah, but I haven't got proof anymore. I threw it away. But I still want me £2,000. I mean, what court's going to uphold that? I can't see it. And neither can any solicitor. So they get a firm called, I think it's DCB solicitors. I'll look into it, but it sounds like DCB are the main people that they get to try and look into these things. But this video is really to say, be bloody careful. Apparently, this manager told my wife that he thought it was related to a Asda petrol station, which is even stranger, but an Asda service station that had put the flag marker on the car. So number one problem with that is she don't go to Asda. She doesn't shop at Asda. She doesn't fill up at Asda. I don't let her put anything other than the E5 in the car, let's face it. So most Asdas haven't got the E5, and if they have, they only got one pump in if it ever works. So she can't remember a time that she's ever taken that car. She only had that car since June. So she can't remember a time she's ever taken that car into Asda, because she didn't think she'd been to Asda for at least a year. And she certainly hasn't had this marker on for very long, because it's only just, obviously it's the end of October and suddenly it's turned up. But she was panicking, and she's on her own. And she got my daughter in the car, a little 9-year-old. I ain't having that. So I said to her, next time, just lock yourself in the car and phone me and tell me where you are, and I'll come down. And anybody approaches the car, they're going to be in problems. Simple as that. I'm not going to have that. Someone approaching her, accuse her of this, that, and the other. They can accuse me, they can have a go, but they're not going to get very far. But as well as being very strange that it's a filling station potentially that she wouldn't have used, the other thing is data protection these days, because that car is registered in my name. It's nothing to do with her. So if they're making some statement about the car and the owner of the car owing money, they've released that information to someone who is not legally entitled to have that information. So that's a breach of data protection. So as far as I'm aware, that's a big fine for a start. Number two, the police confirmed that they're not allowed to make note of car registrations like that unless they report the crime. It has to be reported. You can't just hold information like that, which is derogatory and potentially slanderous, against someone just on the off chance. And the proliferation on the internet, looking at the information, and if you look at the website, and this is the website, okay, I did type it out now, whether it comes up proper I don't know. I think it comes up backwards, doesn't it? But it's www.varsanpr.co.uk. It's VARS Technology, they're called, VARS Technology. They work for a lot of petrol stations apparently, but if you look at their website, the only thing that comes up when you type in the details that are on the actual little card they give you, which is just the website address, that's all it is, it's nothing else. You have to put a reference number in, which presumably is if they write you a letter. I haven't had a letter, so we don't know. We haven't had a letter as yet. You put your reference number in there, and you put your number plate in there. But once you've done that, they've got your details. And I just wonder if in the small print, that's your acceptance that you've got this bill. Because presumably, in law, they'd have to have you accepting that you've got a contract with them. Because there's funny things around contracts with solicitors. Ask any solicitor, they love it. Contracts, you have to actually make a physical connection to that contract to agree to a contract. It's why lots of people can wriggle out of verbal things, because they say, well, I haven't signed anything. No, I never had a contract with you to supply those goods, because you haven't got my signature on anything, you haven't got even my mark on anything. So I suspect that by putting a reference number in and linking it to your car as well, your registration, you've probably somehow agreed tentatively to the transaction that they're trying to create. But it just allows them to pay. I tried putting a DUF number in and a DUF registration number, and nothing happened. So I couldn't get it to kind of work, and I don't want to use an actual registration number that might be on someone's car to put it in there, because I don't want to create a link for them. Also, it might just automatically generate a letter that comes out if you just put your details in. You may never have been on this forecourt, because I'm pretty sure my wife hadn't been on the forecourt of wherever it is that they've supposedly done, or if it's going to be, if it indeed is an Asda. I can't see that car's ever been to Asda. The funny thing is, I've never been in the bloody car either, so I can't get about. So, yeah, very weird. So look out for these things, because I think that there's a scam. I think this is a bit like the parking charges, where you got the illegal parking charges, where they make it look like it's a legitimate fine, that the police are going to be involved and you're in trouble, and if you don't pay, you're going to, you don't pay, they take it away, whatever. But I don't believe it's legal, because I would imagine that if you didn't pay for your fuel, how do you get fuel without paying for it? At the pumps where you put your card in and pay at the pumps, you put your card in first, it charges you, it holds against your account £99, I think it is, because they all moan about it, don't they? Because it restricts you by £99 on your card, until within 2 or 3 days, the actual transaction that you did make of up to £99 is debited, and they actually keep whatever's due, and they basically release from being held the bit you didn't spend. So if you spent 50 quid, they'd be holding 99 until such time as the 50 quid transaction actually hit their account, and then they'd say, okay, well, we'll release the other £49 because you didn't spend that much. So to get fuel like that, you've got to pay up front. On the ones where you pay afterwards, you have to, you either know you've gone into the kiosk or you don't. I mean, that'll be funny. My missus certainly, I can't speak to the other 79 people, not just in that one little section of reviews, but my missus would have gone in and paid. So if your card didn't go through, you'd know, because the cashier would say, oh, your card's been declined or whatever. So you'd know it had been declined because they'd have made a fuss, and you'd have probably made arrangements. Oh, well, what I'll do, here's another card, or here's the cash, or whatever. You would sort it out. They wouldn't normally let you just go home, and you certainly wouldn't let you go without you knowing that you'd walked away without paying. They'd make a point of making sure you knew you hadn't paid, even if they intended to take it up with the police. They'd tell you, we're going to report you to the police for not paying, surely. So to me, it just seems very, very fishy. And the fact that so many of them are reporting that the evidence isn't available, the pictures aren't there. And where the pictures are there, where they have sent through pictures, it reportedly they're all fuzzy, you can't tell the registration numbers. There's all sorts of other practices as well. If you look to it, they do parking as well. And if you look on the parking side, they'll have people that say, well, I went there, parked there for an hour, came out, went somewhere else, came back that night, parked for another hour. But they're claiming I parked up in the morning, never left, and stayed there till late at night, and so I was there 9 hours, not the allowable 2 hours or whatever. So they're trying to charge me for 9 hours of staying. There's a lot of that goes on, where they can show them driving in the morning, they can show them leaving at night, but funny enough, they can't show them leaving in between and coming back. Even though those people will turn around and say, well, I proved it because I've got parking receipts for being parked elsewhere that I showed them, which is parked in a different city centre, petrol receipts for paying for parking elsewhere, all sorts of evidence. And they just basically, they just ignore anything you send in your defence to try and get them to, you appeal the thing. You say, no, it didn't happen to me, it wasn't me, here's the proof, I paid or whatever. Plenty of people had paid and could prove they paid the petrol, but they still tried to claim that they hadn't paid for it and tried to make them pay again. And they basically just ignore them apparently and keep sending letters saying, if you don't pay, we're going to take you to court. If you don't pay, we're going to take you to court. Do you realise you could do that? We could do this, we could do that to you. Basically threatening people, trying to frighten them. And obviously an awful lot of people on there sort of said, oh, well, in the end, it was 150 quid. I just paid it to get them off your back because I was frightened. Well, you shouldn't have to be frightened of these people. If you legitimately make a mistake and you kind of got to pay, I've had parking fines before. I mean, you did it, so you just pay it, don't you? I mean, it's not nice to pay it, but there's lots of things in life you don't want to pay. But if you broke the law, you broke the law. You pay the bill, don't you? And so but you would know if you missed petrol, you'd know that you filled up for free. You wouldn't walk away from that thinking, oh, I'm sure I paid for that. I didn't walk in the place and pay it. I didn't get my card out or anything, but I must have paid for it. You don't do that. And like I say, my missus, the last person in the world that needs to, get free petrol out of someone else, because she gets free petrol anyway. So that's kind of blown it out of the water, isn't it? Because I don't think she's ever paid for petrol in her entire time with me. We've been together a long time. 12 years, 13 years, at least. No, more than that, 17 years. We've been together 17 years and she's never paid for her own petrol since we started, getting together. So, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. So keep your eye open for those. That's VARS Technology or VARSAMPR.co.uk. If you get one of these little cards, check it first. Now, if you owe them some money, you'll have to pay it. You got no choice. That's supposedly what job they're doing for the petrol stations. But looks to me like they take a lot of liberties, and it's all AI, all done by AI, and donuts sitting probably in another country taking if they do any phone calls or anything like that, but writing the letters and stuff, all generated by computer, all generated by faceless people in the background, and they're not exactly keen to make sure that it's the right car and the right person they're trying to charge. And that's where it gets dodgy, because if you don't owe it, you don't pay it. Simple as that. And make sure that when you get these things, and if it is wrong, report it to the police. Tell them. I've opened the case and I've directed them to the 79 people on the reviews and told them to check those people out, because that is a big fraud. That's a lot of money. You know, we're talking tens of thousands of pounds just on the people that bothered to make a review on that one particular website. So have a look. I'm going to look into it further. I'm going to get some advice from solicitors. If I ever get a letter, I will come back on and read the letter and let you know what they try and say. And I'll probably, if I manage to get a phone number for them, I may well film my particularly nice telephone call to them, because you'll find that funny, me shouting and screaming at someone. I'm good at that. So yeah, anyway, if you like my videos, please like, share and subscribe. If you want to see anything in particular, let me know. If you think I'm a twat, let me know. If you think I'm any good, let me know. Probably more often than not, people think I'm a donut, but I hope you like the jokes. And obviously, Keir Starmer's a wanker. David Lamb is a prick.